to the August Kids Craft Corner. Today, we are going to learn about and make an old-fashioned toy called the buzzsaw. Let's get started. The toys that children play with today are much different than the toys of the past. Most toys today are made out of plastic and are bought at the store, like this plastic pizza set with its serving utensils. However, plastic wasn't a material that toys were made out of until the late 19th century, and it wasn't until World War II that plastic toys became a staple. Before plastic, most toys were made out of wood, metal, or even porcelain, like this doll right here. Most of the toys that children in the 19th century played with were not bought from a store, like the toys you see here from this 1902 Sears and Roebuck catalog, because those could be expensive. Instead, the toys the children had were more commonly made by their parents at home, using scraps and leftovers from other projects or even food, like corn husks, scraps of fabric like this rag doll, and even barrel hoops like this one right here. Even then, children did not have many toys like children today do, because there wasn't much time for play, especially for pioneer children, because they had many chores they had to take care of around their homes, such as cooking, sewing, cleaning, and even planting and harvesting crops. Noisemaker toys, like this wooden train whistle, have always been a favorite of children, and the buzzsaw was no exception. Buzzsaws, which have the technical name of string torsion device, are also known as buzzers, button on a string, whizzers, wheelie-gigs, and whirly-gigs. For a noisemaker toy, though, they don't always produce a very loud noise. It really depends on the string and the disc that you use for them. You play with a buzzsaw like this. You hold on to each side of the string and making sure your disc is in the middle. Now, you start spinning your string like this, so it winds up. Once you have most of the string twisted together, you start pulling out and pushing in. And that makes your string and the disc in the middle start spinning around. You will hear a buzzing sound it makes once you get to going really fast. And you saw this one start going fast really quick. These toys are so popular that there have been more than 300 United States patents awarded for them. While we tend to think of the buzzsaw toy as being a toy for children during the Victorian period, it actually goes back much further than that. Buzzsaws were toys played with by children in colonial times, and the toy was even written about in 17th century English literature. Native American children also played with the buzzsaw toys, and they would make them with animal bones or antlers and sinew. When making the buzzsaw toy, you use what you have available to you, which means that a variety of materials have been used to make them, like bamboo, leather, seashells, stones, and wood chips. Today you can also use string, coins, buttons, turned wood, and tin, like from the tin can you see here. When tin was used, teeth would be cut around the edges of the disc, making it look like a saw blade, which is where the name buzzsaw comes from. These tin buzzsaws would shred paper when it came into contact with them while it was being spun. Now that we have learned about the history of the buzzsaw toy, let's get to making our own. This is the perfect craft for us to use items that we have around our house, since that is what people have done for hundreds of years. Some suggested materials for making your own are: for the string, you can use yarn, leather or suede cord, cotton cord, or thin paracord. I would advise against using cotton thread because it breaks easily when spinning since it's so thin. For the disc, you can use buttons, cardboard, a round piece of leather, a plastic lid like from a cottage cheese or yogurt container, or thin wooden discs. I have even seen a fidget spinner be used for the disc portion of the toy, if you have one of those lying around. If so, there is a YouTube video that shows how to construct the buzzsaw toy using the spinner. For the handle, which is optional, but I do recommend one so the string doesn't hurt your hands as you twist it around, you can use plastic straws, spools, empty plastic thread ones or wooden ones, or large wooden or plastic beads. If you want to decorate it, which is also optional, you can use markers, decorative tape, paint, or sequins, or really anything else that you can think of. Alrighty, so now that we have gone over our suggested supply list, let's go ahead and get started. You definitely will need some scissors so you can cut your string. I recommend cutting it about 36 inches long. I found that's a pretty good length when you're making a buzzsaw. You will want your string. I have chosen to use some yarn. If you're using yarn, you might need some tape so you can tape the ends to get it through the holes of the disc that you're using. I have chosen to use handles on mine, so I chose 2 wooden spools. One's rolling away from me. So I chose to use some wooden spools for that. For my disc, I am using cardboard, and to get the holes in there, I actually just used a screwdriver to punch a hole through there. It's not perfectly centered, but that's okay. It'll still work. And I'm also going to decorate it, so I'm going to use some markers. I wanted to keep it pretty simple. So I am going to go ahead and get started. So the very first thing that you do, you take your string and you're going to loop it through one of your holes. Now, if you're putting handles on there, before you loop your string through the other hole, you want to loop it through one of your handles. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put some tape on here because I can see my yarn is already fraying. Okay, so I'm going to just loop it through to the other side, and we'll hold it there. Then I'll loop it through. You want to make sure that your ends are even. Yep. Now that you've done that, you do want to get your other handle on there. Then just kind of hold it off to the side, and then you want to tie these off. So this is a pretty simple craft to do. I would recommend double knotting these, just so when you're spinning it, your ties don't come undone. That's happened to me a few times. And I'm just going to kind of cut the excess off just a little bit. And so now you can actually have your handle go over that piece that you tied. So here's the beginning of it. Now, I went ahead and put this together before I decorated it, since I'm only using markers, but I do recommend decorating it first, just so you don't get the strings in your way, especially if you're using a material like paint or decorative tape, or if you're gluing something on there like some sequins or something. I don't think I'm going to decorate my wooden spools. I think I'm going to leave those, so I'm just going to decorate the cardboard disc. So I'm just going to make some fun little shapes on here. I'm using some orange and purple and blue and red, and I'm going to decorate both sides. Now, you don't have to decorate this if you don't want to, especially depending on what you use for your disc. If you use a button, excuse me, if you use a button, it's going to be a little bit harder to decorate. You still can, it just won't be quite as easy. All right, so I've got some decorations on here, just some fun little designs. in different colors. So I just went with some geometric prints on here, some triangles and some squares and some circles. All right, and then once you are done, you have your very own buzzsaw that you can play with and spin around. Just like that. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you enjoyed making your new toy and playing with it. We'd love to see your finished results, so please share with us on social media using the hashtag RHMAtHome. Thank you for joining us for another Craft Corner, and we'll see you next month. Bye!